Welcome, survivors, burnout community, and those just interested. It's Kelly Buboltz, trainer, author, speaker, and your burnout prevention mentor. Burnout is not taboo. It's our reality in this chaotic, fast-paced world. But we're not going to let it drive the narrative to our stories. We're going to do something about it, so let's dig in. This one's dedicated to the teams that are growing, the teams that are transferring internally between departments, or possibly promoting internally for leaders, or gearing up for emerging leaders and addressing the gaps that they need to in order to step into that role. Coming from 2 decades in HR, I've realized misplacement of a hire can cost the company quite a bit. It can also decrease team energy and really bring down the morale of the culture that you have worked so hard for. And sometimes little variables come into play during the interview process, such as personal bias, or we've hired someone from that previous employer before and they didn't work out, or we never get good candidates from that certain college. And getting rid of those personal biases and those unconscious biases that we don't even know about yet can be done through data and behavioral science. And that really helps with job matching. That really helps with guiding where the gaps are, where they would fit best. And a great example of this would be kind of my profile. And if you've seen me, I'm out on all different social media platforms. Go check them out here. Connect with me. You can see some of my more personality come out. You can go check my website for more free resources on burnout, stress management, and workforce energy management. And I'm going to bring up my DISC profile, and you can probably see already what roles I would be a good fit in and what roles I wouldn't. I am a very fast-paced person. I love change. I love progressive thinking. I love moving forward through that change management at a very fast pace. That is why when you see in the graph over here that my D and my I, my red and my yellow, as I like to call it, are much higher than my green and my blue. And so that will show you that I need constant change. That will show you that I need development, that I seek development. That will show you that I actually thrive in fast-paced environments, those firefighter type of roles. Now, picture me in a different type of role, such as maybe accounting or finance. That's more methodical. That is a little bit more repeatable type of role. And there's going to be a little less frequency of change in those type of roles because they do need a standard. They do need compliance, and there is going to be repeat month over month of those type of tasks. Now, I would slowly die in accounting or finance, but as a recruiter for these roles, as someone who's doing internal movements within your organization or leadership development, you can already see that from my DISC profile. Say if I just want to get out of my role, I'm going to tell you whatever I want. If I just want a job, I'm going to tell you whatever you need to hear during an interview. But the DISC profiles will bring the behavioral science to show where I actually thrive in my work style. And here's a great tool that you can use for job matching is just separating out the two. It doesn't mean that certain candidates, certain employees in your organization cannot do a job. It's just making sure that they align with certain functions of the job that they're going to be successful at, that is their strengths, and that you're feeding that need as an employer for retention. So let's look at that. A D or an I, which is dominance and influence, are active and fast-paced. They like to move, they like to change, they can make decisions very fast. Now, complementary to them is the S and the C, supportive and compliant. Those are our greens and our blues. And they're going to be more methodical and careful before they move forward. They're going to be more methodical and reflective. They want to think about things, dig into data before they move forward. And so you can already place in your mind where certain roles, some of these would succeed, and certain roles where conflict will come in, where stress is going to come in for them. Now, again, as I mentioned, it doesn't mean it's a no. It means that it needs to complement each other. So let's take human resources, for example. As a D and an I move very fast. So when I would recruit especially in the technical trades, pairing up with an S and a C slowed me down to really look at the specific details that they needed for these technical roles to make sure that it was successful, because the technical roles were S and C type of personalities and work styles. And again, this is just a piece of the puzzle, but it will show you someone's work style to make sure that they're successful in the role. So I paired myself up with the engineering manager, which is a very high C. And as you saw in my profile, my C was an 8, my lowest score. And low scores don't mean that I'm not good at data, that I'm not good at analyzing data. It's just I can move forward without data. Whereas a high C, someone who's a higher score in that blue category, is going to want to look at data and reflect on it and analyze it before they move forward. That's a more comfortable work style for them. So again, we're just getting people in their energy zone, in their work styles, so that we're not causing more stress and feeding into their strengths. So using a DISC profile, we can see who's our most successful employees. What work styles are they? And is that work style feeding their success, or is it their previous experience? Is it their internal motivators? And through the DISC package, we work on that. We go through the reports with your workforce, your candidates that are coming in. We will also put in tools emailed after, so that they're referencing pieces of this assessment, because even though it's bullet points, people will peruse through for what they need in this time, in this stage in their life. But say 6 months go by, they might be looking for something else like communication or time wasters that will give them some kind of awareness of, why is this so hard? Why is this person so difficult? So through the emails and the supplemental material, you're going to get all the tools you need to really understand what you're looking at. Now, the cool thing, and what I love as a high I, which is influence and people-oriented, is the team wheels, because I can get a really great picture of who I'm talking to, who I'm working with on this project, who I'm in with this meeting, to know kind of what their expectations are so that I can meet them halfway. And we already reduce the conflict before it begins. So let's bring up that recruitment example. Say I'm in a hiring meeting where we need to discuss the candidates, the final candidates for this engineering role. And I know that high C, that high blue, is right next to me as a high I, high yellow. And that's the two graphs you see in this pictorial, is a high C blue and a high I yellow, which is actually my profile. So both of us complement each other, because I'm looking at personality and behaviors in their interviews. I'm dissecting how they showed up through their email conversations with me and the phone interviews. What was their body language? And what he's looking at is the technical aptitude, and he's looking at education and any spelling errors that are on his resume or any of their documentation that they may have submitted to us, because the candidate's saying they're very detailed oriented, and this is a very detailed oriented role, but yet they have mistakes all over their resumes or materials that they gave us. As a high I, I'm not really looking at all those little specific details. So we complement each other. So I'll say, I really like this candidate because 1, 2, and 3. And then the high C person in this meeting will say, well, actually, I really like this candidate because blah, blah, blah. And then we might come to a consensus that this whole other candidate is actually the best fit for the role. So the team wheels and partnering up certain people for certain projects, certain meetings to move things forward can actually complement each other. And the workforce training is going to be really important. I was introduced to DISC about 15 years ago. I actually took my first DISC as part of an initiative within our company, and we didn't receive a lot of training. So the tool just died, which is disappointing, because I know that companies struggle to get budgets to pay for assessments and training. And so I was disappointed that this initiative died, because I really actually enjoyed reading my DISC assessment, but I didn't know what to do with it. And if you don't keep it alive, if you don't keep it at the forefront of the workforce, if you don't use it in little things like meetings and performance management and within your strategy of where you're placing people and moving people, it will die. It's just it was just a phase or a trend that your company went through. Now, I did work for a company in which they utilized this across the board. They used it for hiring, for job placement, internal transfers, leadership development to address the gaps. If we had performance issues, we would look at their DISC and see where's their time wasters, what conflict are they running into, and that would actually groom some questions that we could bring in to one-on-one meetings or performance disciplinaries. We use the team wheels to choose certain project teams and initiatives. We use team wheels and attach them right to meeting agendas so that people could see who they're talking with before the meeting even begins, again, reducing conflict and stress. And so they used it across the board. And even when people signed on for Teams meetings or in the office, there was table tents that showed their profile right there as a visual to say, hey, I'm a high I. I'm going to be talking a lot and I'm going to move forward very quickly. So you already know, keep it short, to the point, and make sure that I don't make any rash decisions. Or if I'm going to a high C, I'm going to know that they want to analyze what I'm thinking about. They want to look into it more. So I'm not going to expect an answer right here as I'm standing talking to them. Again, it's coming from an understanding of each other's behaviors to reduce conflict and increase that cross-collaborative and cross-behavior collaboration. And then, of course, job matching assistance, which for small employers, I actually help them with their candidates, and job matching for bigger employers, I train their leaders and their HR on how to analyze this data. The whole goal of using this behavioral science tool and this data-based tool for job matching is to get rid of those unconscious biases and personal preferences and get back to who is the best person for the job that's going to bring value to your organization. And it really clears the air of this person got promoted and I didn't because lists out the drama. It gets rid of maybe we shouldn't have hired that person because you did hire that person. And it gets rid of all the smoke and mirrors that come into recruitment and moving people around by placing them where their strengths are, where they're going to bring value to your organization without all the noise. It keeps people like me that think I want to do something because maybe my parents did or my friend was really successful at it. And maybe that's something like accounting and you see my DISC profile and it makes you stop for a second and ask a couple different questions of why I would be a good fit for that role, why I think I would be a good fit for the role. And again, it gets you digging in further to see where my strengths are, where my energy would actually flow and thrive and put me into the right role. My information's in the description. Feel free to contact me for more information on DISC assessments, team wheels, and what we can do to leverage job matching for your organization.
I know you're not lazy. Most people in burnout are high performers, those serving others before themselves. Don't discount this step today, the action in which you focused on your self-growth. Piecing together the puzzle is half the journey. Rediscovering yourself, energy, and establishing new habits is the other. Do not underestimate the untapped inner strength inside you. Explore more resources on my website to move from zombie mode back to liveliness. See you soon.